I think we're going to give people a minute, right? Wow, we have 26 people. I'm so glad everybody's joining. If I don't know, I think if you hit view, if you know at some point during, if you want to see us bigger, I think you can change it, right? Lindsay, speaker
yeah,
view.
under speaker view, the top right of the screen.
But I want to see all your faces, so I'm not changing it. Hi. All right, everybody's coming in. It is so wonderful to have you all here. And I think most of you are kind of muted. Yeah. So if there's any chance of a lot of background, we're going to be recording this. Just so you know, your pictures will not be included in that recording. So
unless you speak.
Yeah, but if you speak, then it will come into the picture. Okay.
So you may want to keep yourself muted if you don't want any chance of that happening.
Yeah, but there will be some time later, also a couple times actually, for you to ask some questions at a couple of different points. All right, we've got like 33 people on. To me, that is a number to go, right? So hi everyone. I am really, 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 really excited that you're all here. The more Lindsay and I talked, the more excited we got. And we're just really happy to have you all here with us today. Many of you don't know me, so let me start there. Let me introduce myself. I'm Tina Provenzano, and I am a professional intuitive. I am a channel of Oliver. I'm a certified spiritual life coach, and I am an inner child advocate. I mentioned I channel Oliver, and I feel like I want to tell you a little bit more about him first. Oliver is my guide, and to be honest, that just feels so like, because it's just not at all descriptive of all that he is. And our spiritual support teams are so magnificent. And Oliver is more expansive than just my guide. And so he's popping in and he's just saying peace to every one of you. And that is really exactly what Oliver has brought to my life, is a tremendous amount of peace. And Oliver and I have taken my life to a whole new level, and I am so grateful for his guidance and for his direction and for his love and his support. He came in about 2.5 years ago, so we've been working together for 2.5 years. And in that short amount of time, I really do feel like I have changed my life. Oliver helps me help me, and he helps me help all of you. And you may hear me say his name from time to time. He kind of has a tendency to pop in and out with these kind of things more than do these long channels. He, before he came on board, I worked with a guy named Aqua that so many of you probably remember, and his energy was so much different from Oliver. They really are completely different. And so when Oliver came on, I said to him, I couldn't believe I had a guide change. It was pretty shaking, you know, for me. Makwa had been with me for 15 years, and Oliver says to me, he was just an appetizer on the main course. I laughed. And I said, oh my God, really? I go, is there dessert? And he, yes. And I was like, right? That totally ticked my abandonment wounds. I'm like, no. You know? So, but I really now with him have gotten to a place where I can like enjoy him every day and not worry about the future and who dessert is. I can trust enough to know that whatever guide I chose as dessert from Oliver is perfect as well. And so I am grateful to Oliver for taking me to that place, that level of peace. You know, we all have amazing spiritual support teams. We are supported so much more than we could ever imagine on this earth plane. We are so much more supported than I ever imagined or believed that we were. I came from a 25-year career in pharma, right? And the last 10 years of it were both. I was doing both. But this, I can promise you, was not on my radar. It was actually a girl who I worked with who said, hey, Barbara Masca, I love you, Barbara. She brought me to my first medium. She's like, you gotta come to this person. And when we appeared, the woman, Reverend B was her name, grabbed Barbara and said, this is why you came to me. This is why you came here. And I was like shaken. I had no idea what that meant. And it didn't actually reveal itself till later. But the truth is that just like you might all think in your head how this isn't part of your reality, that may not be the case now or in the past, but I would ask you to really challenge that belief going forward and to really open up to the awareness that you are all divine by design. You are all plugged in and wired to connect with the highest part of who you are. We were not sent on this journey to not partner and not have the support of ourselves, our high self, our guides, our spirit, whatever universe, whatever term you use and fits for you, God, whichever, I use them all interchangeably, so you probably hear me say them all throughout. Doesn't matter. Oh, I'm so sorry. But what I want to say to you is, Oliver's saying, no, I want to say. He's saying that this is a time of a great, great awakening, and you all have a tremendous potential to take that step. It is not just a great awakening for the planet. It's a great awakening and an invitation for you personally to step in to your own divinity and embrace that in a way that changes the core of who you believe you are, so that you can create what it is you came here to create, connected to your soul, connected to the highest part of you, to step into your own purpose for incarnating. And so, come on in. The water's great. It's empowering. And that's part of what we're going to be talking to you about today. Before we do, I would like to introduce the amazing, the talented Lindsay Morlock. I am going to let her introduce herself to you in a moment. But first, Lindsay, I just want to really say to you that I am so completely grateful for you. You have been an amazing and beautiful soul sister on an incredible journey with me. And you have such an integral part in my own personal journey. And I am grateful that we have had this opportunity to heal together and work together. And most of all, really just like laugh together, because that's a lot of
We do a lot of that.
Yeah, which makes it all so much fun. And I am so thankful for all of it. And in terms of the Divine Family Program, it would truly not be what it is without you.
Oh, thank you.
Oliver and I both bow to you. And
Thank you both.
you.
Thank you. It's always a love fest between me and Tina. Well, really, anyone who knows Tina and works with her, it's always a love fest, right? As it should be. But we are really excited to welcome you all here. And, you know, I am a corporate COO by day, but I like to tell people I moonlight as an intuitive, a breathwork facilitator, and a scientific hand analyst. And so I do that before work, after work, the weekends. That's why I say moonlight, doing it, because that's about all the time there is left in the day to do what it is that really fuels my passions and my purpose for being. And so the thing I think that I want to share about me and my journey is that I have always been a spiritual seeker, a spiritual sampler, if you will. Like, I want the buffet of this reading, that modality. I want to try it all. My parents look at me like, what are you spending money on now, right? But it's like, I just want to try it all because it all filled me with something that I needed at the time. And so I am a self-proclaimed self-improvement junkie for sure. And but I've always been searching for some more fulfillment. You know, I believe there had to be more to life than just getting up day after day and going to work and then going to bed and then kind of doing it all over again the next day. And so everything changed for me when I went to Sedona for a spiritual retreat in 2016. And that was when I met Tina. And so really, it was only 3.5 years ago that we connected. And when I started working with her, my life went from 0 to 300. And I'll share a little bit more about that later. But I mean, the gratitude really is all mine because I am a different person. I am more myself because of how she has helped me to grow and to evolve. And so part of our excitement around this webinar tonight is being able to share with you, you know, why we are, where we are and how we got there, because everybody can do it. And I was recently talking to a colleague of mine who is on this call, and I was saying, I am not really that disciplined. At times, like if I have to work too hard, too consistently at something, I'm gonna fall off the wagon. And this information that Tina's gonna share with you tonight and teach you is so doable. It's so practical. And I feel so good all the time in ways that I never thought I could feel. And we just want everybody to be able to share in that.
Way. Thank you. Thank you so much, Linz. So the reason for this webinar was really twofold. These are some rough times. There is a lot going on out there. And honestly, for me personally, this past week has really been a week of weeks. I lost, my family lost a young family member, really difficult. And I had to actually put my beloved dog down last night. And so I just want to say to you, it's like, I even become stunned at how well, I've been able to kind of traverse that. And, but everyone out there is suffering in some way, in a it's very personal, right? Like there's just so much going on out there. I really, although, you know, we can move through it, it can be a painful process. And we have, so many of us have developed tools, myself included, which you're gonna hear about, that have helped. But Oliver wanted us to go through what we did. He kind of set the agenda. He gave us topics that he wants us to talk about with you tonight. And for each kind of topic he chose, he gave us a tip that will help you in some way on that process. And so one of the reasons that all of anything we can do to help ourselves heal and stay balanced and aligned is important, because if you can imagine a world where everyone just brought it in, where everyone just said, all right, you know what, I'm gonna focus on me for a minute, I'm gonna take care of me for a minute, instead of focusing outward and trying to take care of what's going on out there, we'd be living in a very different world. And we're seeing evidence that of that around us. But what I want to say to you is that you can be the center in that storm. You can be that peace, right? Peace isn't to be peaceful amongst peaceful surroundings. We don't really have that luxury as humans. Like there's always going to be horrible situations in our life, right? And so being peace, having peace, is being peaceful amongst them, being the peace in the center of the storm. That's true peace, right? And so that is always my goal, honestly, in a very important way. Oliver's name means peace, right? So, and the other reason that we're getting together tonight is because I'd really love to share with you that process that Oliver channeled, the Divine Family Process. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about it, but we're really going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. I'm going to turn into a Provenzano and get to my Italian roots. I'm just kidding. But we'll come to more on that later. I'm kind of anxious and excited to just dig in and get into the topics, if that's okay. Good. All right. So, Linz, we all know the first topic on Oliver's agenda is always like the same, right?
Always.
Always. It's, you know, why is our relationship to spirit so important? Why? How can we better connect and utilize this divine connection that we all have to improve our lives, to understand the direction we're supposed to go in, to have clarity, right? I could go on forever, honestly, on this topic, because over the past 17 years or so, I have just been truly amazed and astonished by how they've changed my life every day. And I want that for everyone. I want it for all of you. I want it for everyone. And we are all connected to spirit, right? People, I get it all the time. People are like, yeah, no, I'm not connected. No, I don't have any gifts. You all have gifts. Every single one of you have gifts. And if I had the time, we'd be talking about that. And I'd be targeting, but I can't believe there's 40 something people online, so we can't go there. But what I really do encourage you to do is understand them. It is, Linz, people don't, do you find that people don't like think that they're gifted, that it's just, it's other people?
Yeah, I think they think it's a gift, not an ability. And it's truly an ability. Everybody can develop it because it's an ability. So you can develop it. Gifts are special and unique to people, but everybody is born with this. It's just a matter of how receptive and open we are to wanting to grow it and develop it and tune into it.
Yeah, what a perfect mindset change. That is really, really true. And it is something to develop, right? And everybody's journey is different. It's unique and it's theirs to discover. And there is no, this looks like this, and then this happens, and then this gift opens, and then this happens. That's not, there is no formula that way, because it is unique to you and your own soul's expression and what you came in here to be in this world. And so and it's so magical as it reveals itself to you. So I really do encourage you to take those steps, right? Because that's all you really need to do. You need two things. You need desire, and you need to take the steps toward those desires. You do those two things and it will be yours. This is your divine birthright. It is not something that is unattainable. It's not something that someone else can give you or take away. It's yours. And so I really encourage you to discover that. And I really want you to know that everyone has the ability to connect to who they are, everyone. And that's what you're connecting to, not something or someone outside of yourself. Yeah. And would you agree?
Yeah, I was going to say, when I first became a hand analyst, the reason I became a hand analyst was like, well, I'm not psychic, but I want to be a healer. So this is something I can learn with my mind, and it requires no intuition to actually be able to carry it out. And then in the session with the person, she's like, you're a healer. I'm like, wait, what? I'm not psychic. That's not, what do you mean I'm a healer? And so then I spent the next like 3 to 4 years trying to figure out why I couldn't hear, voices or what I perceived to be the psychic medium or connection. And then one day Tina said, they're already talking to you. You know that, right? And I was like, oh no, because you think you're talking to yourself, right? Like you think you're just going round and round, but it's very subtle. It's a whisper. And so I remember when I was in Sedona and I met her for the first time, that was the first trip that I met my spirit guide. And my spirit guide's name is Eleanor. And it was interesting because Tina said to me, oh, Eleanor is so excited because she's been there all along, but now you actually know she's there. So she said, this is going to be fun now. So, the more we develop the relationship with them, the more we really connect with their presence around us and can see how they start to communicate with us in real life. And it's not always just having to hear things with, your clairaudience or see things in your mind's eye. There's lots of different ways that we connect with spirit.
So many. You're never alone. Never, not anywhere, not in the shower, not when you're having sex, not when you're never alone. Sorry. They give you your privacy, but how can we disconnect from the biggest part of who we are? We can't. It's right here. It's right here. And so, in that connection, we discover our authenticity, right? Your soul's true expression for incarnating. The reason you came here, right? It's your dharma. It's to express your authentic self, right? To connect with and have a relationship with that part of you. It's the relationship between the personality of you here and your soul and your spirit and yourself, right? You came here to evolve. There is no way you came here to evolve and came disconnected from the very part of yourself that you are looking to evolve and step into. That's not even possible, right? But yet we try and dance without the most amazing dance partner. And we trip all over our own 2 feet when we have the most amazing guide as a partner. who can literally waltz us around a floor like you've never seen, right? But we struggle and we go, no, no, can't, right? And we're just falling. Like, it's a matter, getting to this part of yourself is not something you're going to be able to run down, nail down, and make happen. It's something you open to. It's, you're not changing or turning into something you're not, you're becoming more of who you are by connecting to your own divinity and that part of yourself, right? And when you feel that safe, that's like, I can't, you know, when it comes to authenticity, we're not our authentic selves. Give us half a beat and we will turn in to someone else for the sake of, or to please, or to just not have to explain who we are. And we lose ourselves in that moment. And when we learn to connect to this part of ourselves, we are safe in that space. And we no longer try to become something we're not in a world full of people who are trying to be something they're not for reasons that they don't understand. They don't even know why they're trying to be something else. So sitting in this safe, cradled space that Spirit provides for us opens up a life of great joy and clarity, because when you feel cradled in that space, then you feel free to be who you are and create what you desire and do what you love, right? And be that healer that you are, right? And be that intuitive that you are, and be that teacher that you are, and everything else you desire. You are divine by design. You're programmed, and it's important for you to follow what you love. Okay, so I said to Oliver, is this a commercial for Spirit? Because it's true, like, he's like, I just want you to just talk to Lindsay about, you know, like the big dividends that you have paid, you know, by connecting, because the truth is it comes with great responsibility and it comes with great reward. So he wanted me to talk with all of you a little bit about this. So, Linz, I'm going to let you throw something out first.
Yeah, so for me, one of the greatest benefits of working with Spirit, and by the way, the image in my head I get of Spirit in my life is like Spirit around a fire in a barrel. That might be like the little bit of like the Jersey girl in me. That it's not this like, you know, magical place. It's like Spirit, like angel-like around a fire in a barrel, right? And I feel like they make fun of me, right? Because they're like, look at her go, right? Circles, running around in circles. This girl's chasing her tails, because I learned every lesson the hard way. Or at least have had a tendency to do that before Spirit, right? Because
you used to.
Used to, right? Because as I'm sure many of you can relate, I have a very strong mind. I have been very successful in kind of the corporate world. I have always had goals, and, you know, I have been kind of a one-track mind in terms of, I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to go to grad school, and then I'm going to get this job by this time, and I'm going to move to this place. And I have controlled every facet of my life up until this current juncture, where I'm now in relationship with Spirit so much that they're like, I'm going right, and they're saying, nope, go left, right? And I'm having to trust, even though it makes no sense to me. But the truth is, what I've learned is that Spirit is here to help me grow and evolve. And it may not always be what I think I want, but it is always pointing me in the direction of exactly what I need, even if I would like, my mind would like to fight with them over what that is from time to time. And so, you know, I think my first experience with connecting with spirit, I never realized I used to see numbers like 111 and 333 and 444 on license plates, or I would see 1111 on a clock all the time, or random animals that had no business being in my path were like crossing my path. And until I realized that those are some of the ways spirit tries to connect with us, to send us messages, I was just completely unconscious of what was happening. I'm just like, that's random, right? And I go about my day. When we approach it with the understanding of how spirit sends us messages and communicates with us, we can walk through life in a far more conscious and intentional way. And so, you know, there were periods of my life, especially in my late 20s, where everybody around me was like getting married, having babies, and I was still single, you know? And so I decided to go on this retreat in Sedona, and it was going to be the first time that I ever went on vacation by myself. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to be depressed and like people are staring at me at the sorry girl who's out to dinner all by herself. But the truth is, when I was there, I was removing all of these kind of blocks in my body and getting closer and more connected to spirit with every session that I went through. So by the time that I left, even though I had been there for a week all by myself, I have never been filled or felt more filled with love in my entire life. And so this is somebody who used to tell people, I hate hearts. Don't buy me anything with hearts. You see people holding hands. I'm like, get a room, right? Like, I don't want to see that. I was so resistant to any kind of love effort or love, showing up in my life, that until I really connect with spirit and with source, which is unconditional love, right? At its core, then suddenly my sisters were like, who are you? Since when do you like hearts and watching people hold hands? And I'm like, love is love, you know? And they're like, I don't even know who you are, right? So when we connect with that, really connect with that source of energy, it's amazing. And you don't even really realize how disconnected you feel until that first time you really connect in with them. And now I know that if I'm ever feeling lonely, it's not because I'm lonely, it's because I'm disconnected from spirit, because I don't feel disconnected anymore as long as I remain connected to that source.
Right. Right. Yeah. When when we're not connected to that part of ourselves, everything's a reach. Everything feels like a reach. And so that's a great story too. You know, it's so empowering to know, like, we have this true north to follow, right? Like Lindsay said, they're saying, go left, and like, oh God, right. But no, right is familiar. And so when you begin to feel safe in that space, and we're going to talk about later more of the things that make you feel unsafe, but it really, your clarity, you don't know what steps to take. But when you are connected and aligned, you know that even though, going left is scary, I'm going anyway, because you know. And you can't unknow what you know. No matter how much you try, you can't unknow what you know. And so I really encourage that. It is completely and positively liberating to be encouraged to be exactly who you are, to be validated for exactly who you are, to understand that who you are is not a mistake. Who you are is perfect. We are all perfectly imperfect, and we are here to learn and grow and evolve. And no matter how much I go right when Oliver has said go left, like, the love never changes. Lesson hurts a lot more.
It does hurt a lot more.
The love from him never changes. It's unwavering. And that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful feeling. They're our biggest cheerleaders, right?
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
And with all the uncertainty that's going on in our world right now, and just with, you don't know whether your kids are going to school one day and they're going to be virtual the next day, or, right, there's so much uncertainty. the only thing that we can be certain in is our connection with spirit, and that we're going to have the information that we need in the moment we need it, and we're going to know and be able to trust what we're going to do. And that's what that relationship allows you to do. I mean, I was the biggest skeptic going. There's still days Tina might call me a skeptic, even though I live this. And
but I go through it too. We are all susceptible to that, you know. There are days I doubt, right? And I'm like, oh my God, how could you doubt? Don't doubt, don't doubt, right? And then I know I got to go in, I got to work the process, I got to take care of my inner child, I got to, you know, love her through the uncertainty. But, you know, what I want to really get across is that they want this relationship with you as much as you want it with them. They want it more, I bet, even. Like, they are so ready for each and every one of you, and it's yours. It's yours to grab onto, really. I want to just quick tell you, and I'm going to put this as quickly as I can, because I know we could be here all night, honestly. So, in, I think it was 2013 or 2012 into 13, it started maybe. My family, spirit, moved my family, my entire family, 12 of us, across country from New Jersey to Sedona onto 1 8-acre piece of property, put up 6 houses, a barn, and it all happened from it being a joke to the first people out on property in 15 months. 15 months. We all sold our houses, moved here, put up houses, and now there's no way. I couldn't have made that happen. It's beyond you. And I want to say, I never saw it coming. And it is so funny. I really do love when people will say, like, why didn't you see that coming? You're a psychic. I'm like, I don't see shit coming in my own. Like, you know, that's not the way it works. That's not like a modern day mystic or psychic or whatever. I don't even know what you want to call it, right? And it's about in the moment guidance, right? I don't want to tell you what's going to happen in 6 months. I want to teach you how to figure out for you what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Because so that you're prepared, right? So that you get in the moment information, right? And guidance. It's like, so that when you get in that flow, it's seamless. Does it take work? It absolutely takes work. It does, but it doesn't have to be so hard, right?
No, it doesn't. I think people think it's harder than it really is.
Yeah. So, wow, we are so off schedule.
I know, we got to keep it moving.
Yeah. I do want to teach you the human pendulum, right? So if everybody just wants to stand up, I'm going to lead Lindsay through it. So if you can just tilt your screen so you can make sure you see Lindsay. I want to teach you how to get yes and no answers from spirit, because if I had to skip anything, I don't want this to be it, right? So you can keep your hands down at your sides. If you see Lindsay puts hers up, I want you to just be comfortable. Whatever you're most comfortable with is perfect, right? So you're just going to stand and you're going to really ground into your feet, right? And take a nice deep breath. And the first thing we're going to do is program your body to give you a yes and no response, right? You're never going to have to ever do this piece again. But we just need to program it in so that your body and spirit are all on the same page, right? So you're going to put your hands down at your sides and you're going to repeat after me. Spirit and divine body wisdom.
Spirit and Divine Body Wisdom.
When I ask you a question and the answer is yes,
When I ask you a question and the answer is yes,
please pull me forward.
please pull me forward.
And I want you to rock forward onto your toes right now because you are programming your body that this is what a yes response looks like, okay? We're gonna come back to center. You're gonna repeat after me again. Spirit and Divine Body Wisdom.
Spirit and Divine Body Wisdom.
When I ask you a question and the answer is no,
When I ask you a question and the answer is no,
please pull me backward.
please pull me backward.
And you're gonna rock back onto your heels. Yeah, good job, Anna. I saw you go all the way back. Yeah. They're just programming your body, right? That's what a no looks like. Now I want you to come back to center. And I'm just gonna talk to you for a quick second about how to ask the questions, right? I want you to stay away from shoulds. This isn't about shoulds. I want you to keep in mind, like, just, is it in my highest good, right? Like, that's the perspective. Whether you use those words or not, that's what I want your intention to be, right? So you have to ask a question that has a yes or no answer, right? So, and you can ask it to yourself. You don't need to ask it out loud. Spirit is always with you, right? So you're just going to say, Spirit, is it in my highest good to do X, Y, Z? Is it in my, and keep it personal to you for now. And as you ask the question, just allow your body to absorb the answer. Is it in my highest good? I see something working. Is that working? Can I get thumbs up if you're feeling it, or yeah? Awesome. Good. Awesome. Okay. All right. It's a great tool because you can use it anywhere. You can just you never have to do that first part. You'd be in the grocery store. Is it in my highest good to get that product right there? Yes or no? Yes. No, it'll just come right through you. You just want to relax and practice it. We didn't really give a whole lot of time for it. I feel like the first section went a lot longer than expected, but it's good and it's important and it's foundational. So we're going to move on to the second most important topic, which is, not that there's any important order here, but alignment. Alignment is everything. I'm not surprised by him saying this needed to be discussed, right? We talked about being connected to spirit, but the truth is, you know, you're like a hollow, the Native Americans call it the hollow bone, right? And you're always connected. You're never disconnected from this part of yourself. But how much information actually comes through, right? How much information you actually read correctly, how much, you know, how aligned you and good you feel on a daily basis is very dependent upon the hollowness of this bone. Because if you fill it with a ton of mind, emotion, the two, right? The two that will always throw us off track is our thoughts or our emotion, or about how we feel about what we're thinking, right? Those two things will kind of throw us off, right? And so to really understand alignment, what I want you to, what I'm going to go into real quick is vibration and feelings and a tiny bit into law of attraction, but not really. So Lindsay, if you can bring up the scale. So thanks. Okay. So on this scale, what I would suggest, and if you want a copy of this, just, I don't know, is there a way for them to capture it? Can we send it to them? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Just let me know. Send me an email. Find a way to reach out to me and I'll definitely get you this vibe scale if you want it. But what this is a way for you to see where you are on this vibrational mood scale. Because when you're in the green, right, which you'll see, actually, yeah, just go to the next, yeah, go to the next one. This is the scale here, right? And this is about as much as we can put a scale. I think that this was actually created by Abraham Hicks, and it's had some modifications along the way, but props to them. So when you are in the green, right, when you're feeling joy, appreciation, right, optimism, love, all those feel-good feelings, what that says is the way you're looking at the situation that's making you feel that way, right, is in harmony with the way your inner being sees the situation, the way your God self, the way spirit sees the situation. And it also says that your inner child doesn't have any beliefs running that are keeping you from seeing the situation the way spirit would have you see it. It's close enough for a big green light and in all systems go. It's a good forward, right? When you are in the red or even in the yellow, right, what that says is the way you're looking at something isn't, or whatever's making you feel that way, right, isn't the way your inner being views that situation. And the reason that you're not viewing it correctly is because your inner child has a situation running that is a program running, a belief running, that is keeping you from seeing the situation in a way that brings you up into the higher realms of the vibrational scale, right? And it's not about feeling good for the sake of feeling good, but I will say that when you are in the green, law of attraction states that which is likened to itself is drawn. So when, and our feelings, our vibration is based on our feelings, I should say. And so what you feel, you attract. And so when you're in that green, you're attracting more to continue to feel that way. When you're in the red, you're continuing to attract more to feel that way. When you're in the yellow, you're really attracting more to continue that as well. And if you allow your mind to bring it down, you'll go from yellow to red pretty quickly if you have no way of processing those feelings, right? So this means, what I want to say before I say that is that the reason that your inner child has that belief running is because we have subconscious programs and thoughts continuously running for us, right? And so subconscious thoughts are thoughts that you don't know you think. You're not aware you think. Just like beliefs. You have subconscious beliefs that you're not aware are even there and creating an issue for you. And it is really important for alignment. And I'm going to quote, I love my first life coach, who certified me from Holistic Learning Centers. His name is Fidel Conzo, and he's a Jersey Italian. And he used to say, you got to get to the thing behind the thing behind the thing, right? And that's when we really learn to kind of process our feelings. We can understand like the reasons that we feel the way we do, right? And we can then make different decisions that bring about different outcomes, because the truth is that how you feel creates a difference in how you see the world, and how you see the world determines the steps you take, and the steps you take determines the outcomes that follow. It's cause and effect. And so one of your greatest tools is to really have the ability to process those emotions. And so there are different parts to alignment. Certainly, we're going to talk about more of those. Meditation is really important. Managing your mind is really important. But that is a very important piece. And so, Linz, let's talk about what it looks like when we're aligned and when we're not aligned.
Yeah, so when we are out of alignment, let me use traffic as an example in the days that there was traffic, pre-COVID, right? So if I'm in Jersey, so keep in mind the traffic, right? So if I'm aligned when I get up in the morning and someone inevitably cuts me off in rush hour traffic, as we do in New Jersey, it's more of like a bless your heart. I'll pray for you, right? If I am out of alignment, it's like a middle finger and a number of expletives coming out of my mouth all at once, right? And I'm there's actually a zing I get through my body. It's like a visceral feeling that I get, that I'm just like, I'm annoyed. I'm so angry that this person cut me off. But when we're aligned, we really just don't react. You know, you kind of notice it and you're like, meh, you know, I let you cut me off. You're welcome, right?
Everybody's got, yeah, everybody's got a day.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Basically, you're aligned when you feel good. When you don't feel good, you're not aligned. Bottom line, there is no amount of shoving down how you feel to pretend that you feel good when you don't feel good, if the feeling is the basis for what your law of attracting and what you're creating in your life, right? So alignment is very important to what it is you want to create. When you're aligned, when we're aligned with spirit, and it is aligned with spirit, when that bone is hollow, right? I am at the clarity of my messages. It amazes me sometimes. When I am not aligned, I can get in my way like nothing you have ever seen in your whole entire life. And someday I'll share a cat story with you, but it's really horrible. I won't share it here.
Yeah. Wait for the course for that one.
yeah, maybe I'll have the guts to share it by then. But it's like if someone on a day where I'm aligned, if someone says something to me and it's a little bit off or whatever, aligned, I'm like, they're having a bad day. Maybe they just whatever, If I'm not aligned, right, I take that so personally. I'm sorry, and if I am spinning that over in my head, I know it's about me. It's not about them. It's right, because I'm having the reaction to it, and our feelings are in our body. What else, Linz?
I think too, people can relate to like when you feel like you're in the flow of doing something or creating something like a project or something, right? When you're aligned, you might be doing it for 6 hours, but you're like, whoa, where did the time go, right? We say, I was in the groove, or I was in a rhythm.
Yeah.
And when we try to do that same project from an unaligned place, like we want to throw the laptop out the window. We want it, right? It gets frustrating. We don't have patience. And so it's a very, very, very easy to spend more efforting and more energy expenditure and emotional expense when you're not aligned there. Truth.
And also, when you're aligned, you're full of energy. You're feeling inspired, right?
Yeah.
Now,
with alignment too, I feel like when you are aligned, you might be putting effort into the things that you're doing, but they feel effortless. They energize you. They fuel you. When you are out of alignment, you're putting forth effort and you feel drained, you feel fatigued, you're exhausted. So even just put yourself, how do you feel at the end of your workday? Are you fueled and energized by whatever your work is, whether you're, a stay-home mom, whether you have a corporate job, whether you're doing something else, or are you totally exhausted and fatigued after a long day? That'll tell you whether you're aligned or out of alignment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so, when we are inspired and there is nothing to keep that from flowing, right? When we're keeping ourselves clear, right? And it doesn't, trust me, it's rare I make it to a full clarity. Like that is not a place like it, we're not expected to get there. This isn't about going and sitting on some mountaintop. It's about connecting to yourself and getting yourself aligned enough so that you can understand the best way to go in your life, to be directed in that way. And so one of the things is that I don't make a decision on anything unless I'm in an aligned place. So unless I am aligned, if there's a decision to make, and like, let's say I'm emotional about it because there's a component that I don't feel comfortable with, I don't make that decision until I've processed that emotion and gotten that part of myself on board. My inner child's got something going on and a belief funding. I don't want to bring that into whatever I'm creating. I want to heal that first, make her feel good and powerful so that she feels good stepping forward. If I feel like I'm getting like I'm trying to create something and blocks keep kind of being thrown in my way, I know that that's off. Something's not right there. That's not aligned. I don't move forward, right? I don't drag things down. I don't pull bloody stumps across finish lines, right? If we want to be in the ease and control and flow of our lives, we have to really step back and breathe. So on that, Lindsay.
Yeah. So there's a number of reasons why the breath is so important. But number one is that when you breathe in, spirit is coming in on the breath. And so we use the breath to just take a moment to center ourselves. I'm sure many of you have heard that throughout the course of the day, our breathing gets very, very shallow. And the more stressed we get, the shallower our breathing is. We quite literally cut off spirit from entering our body and helping us to process and move and ground and center whatever we need in that moment. And so one of the tips that we want to leave with you tonight are, well, one breathing technique, but I want to talk a little bit about breath work in general. Breath work is becoming more trendy now. So some of you may have heard of it. Some of you do breath work with me. And so there's, breath work that you can do in the moment, right? Which is one technique is called box breathing, which I'm going to teach you here in a minute. And then another type of breath work that I practice, so Tina said earlier, meditation is super important. But for any of you who are like me and Tina, who have very strong minds, sometimes meditating just doesn't cut it, right? The mind just is too busy. You get distracted. You feel like it's not working. Then you're worried if you're meditating right. And that's so not the point of meditating, right? Because we just start to judge it and then it defeats the whole purpose. So with breath work, the type of breath work I facilitate is called Pranayama Breathwork. And so it consists of bringing in more oxygen into the body, and it stimulates the hypothalamus gland to release endorphins through your body. And it is quite literally designed to quiet the mind. And so for those of you who have trouble meditating, breath work can be an effective tool or technique to really help you quiet the mind in as little as 6 minutes. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out thing. Likewise, if you're going throughout your day, sometimes we're in traffic and we're in, in work, or like you're about to unleash on your kiddos, or, something happens. Sometimes we just need to pause and take a breath. And so box breathing, or this 4x4 breath is a very quick, effective technique that just helps you reconnect, recenter, and quiet the mind in the moment. So if you all just, you can close your eyes or you can soften your gaze or not. It's completely up to you, but you're going to inhale for 4, hold it for 4, and then exhale for 4. And we're going to do that 4 times. So before we do this, on a scale from 1 to 10, just notice where your energy is or how you're feeling. Are you a 1? Are you exhausted? Are you a 10? Do you feel like anxious, revved up? Just notice on a scale from 1 to 10 where you are, and then we'll reassess after we do this breath. Okay, so inhale for 4. So in through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale slowly for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do it again. In through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now do it on your own for one more round, starting with that inhale. And you're holding, and then you're exhaling. And then just check in with yourself, you know, on that scale, just notice is it the number the same? Did your energy increase? Did it decrease? How does your mind feel? More calm, more busy? Just notice whatever, you know, is going on for you.
So I love this breath, you know, and I also love Lindsay's breath work. So I would encourage you to check that out. This breath work really was another game changer for me. Oliver makes me do this box breath or the 4x4 breath anytime I roll. That's the deal. Anytime something happens and I go, it's like my immediate sign that I need to just step back and do that breath. It really helps you not to allow yourself to go down those roads, because after, you know what comes. I can't believe that happened, right? The story comes, right? So just taking that second to just stop and take that breath instead, make that conscious choice. It can change the whole course of whatever just happened for you. So the next topic, yeah, we're moving kind of quick, but trying anyway. There's so much to cover, but I'm sorry. One of my favorite topics truly is the ego. It is and will always be something I'm interested in, because at one point it was the biggest issue for me in my life. That and the fact that I didn't feel my feelings. Put them together and it's a disaster, right? Because I teach what I most need to learn. But Wayne Dyer calls the ego edging God out. And it's also known as the great separator. I call it the inner child's protector. Because when you were too young to protect yourself, the ego came on board, right? And it developed childlike ego defenses, patterns and habits, right? To keep you safe, sane, and secure when you were too young to do that yourself. And unfortunately, these unconscious patterns and habits are still playing out in our lives in some really menacing ways today, right? And not working out for us anymore, and we're not even really aware. But the most obvious place you can find this playing out in your life would be anywhere you say, why is this happening to me again? Or if you say, you know, Mary just left the company. I was so thrilled that she's gone. And now Cindy has appeared before me, and she wears different clothes than Mary, but she's brought the same problems, right? So people that keep appearing to you in different forms or are bringing the same kind of issues. These are all things where spirit is saying, hey, you got this thing happening here, and you know, because you don't feel good when it happens, right? And it takes you on some kind of spin, right? And so, and what it does is it plays out the doom loops of the patterns in our lives, and we get stuck, right? And so the thing with the ego is it's not going anywhere. It is here to help us survive on this earth plane, right? And so what we really need to do is turn it more into our faithful servant versus being a nightmare of a master, right? So what does the ego look like in action? We could talk about this hours
all
too.
day long.
Yeah. I'll let you start, Linz.
Well, my ego tried to convince Tina that breathing was hard. It's like that basic sometimes when I was, and I'm a breathwork instructor, but before I became a breathwork instructor, I was making excuses for why I didn't have time to breathe and do breathwork. And I was like, it's just so hard. Like, it's such hard work to do the breathing. And she's like, how so? How is breathing hard? You know, hard. You do it every day actually without thinking, right? So, but that's what the ego does, is it convinces us of these stories and these patterns to keep us stuck in the same place. Sonia Choquette, another spiritual teacher, calls it your barking dog. And she actually has people name them, right? So I've got like Rufus the Rottweiler in my mind, because when that thing starts, Tina and her, I can't remember if it was Makwa or Oliver at the time, was like, you don't just get on with board with your ego. You like link arms and walk down the stairs of the Titanic with your ego, and you guys go down together. Because it is when you are so used to listening to that voice, and it's a very rational voice, it's very believable, and you actually think that you're right, and it'll convince you that you're right. And then when something doesn't go the way you planned, it then tells you you're an idiot, or you're stupid, or you don't have value, or you don't have worth, and it takes you down this
And it
shame spiral.
It convinced you to go there to begin with. It tells you to go and do this and make this awful decision, and then after you do it, it beats you up, you know, for doing it. It is so duplicitous in its nature, and and in its allure at the same time. It is incredibly alluring, and it needs training in ways, right? It needs to understand that there's a different way. And so like the way that has helped me the most, in all honesty, is taking care of the inner child and changing her experience and reparenting her. Because the truth is, when she feels good and the ego doesn't feel the need to protect her and jump in, she's good. It's all good. But it really, it can get me into patterns of think, right? And it's just not healthy for us. It keeps us stuck in the worries of the future and the stories of the past. It can keep us, you know, stuck in dramas. Lindsay, you mentioned, it tells us rational lies, right? When you hear yourself rationalizing why you should or shouldn't do something, I want you to dig into that more, because when you break that word rationalize down, it's rational lies. And we buy the lie to protect us from any truth that's too painful to deal with, or any hurt that we don't want to face, or any program that we have running that we don't want to see and heal. So really, really important. Yeah, its main energy source is fear, right? And so fear, right, is false, the big fear, capital F-E-A-R, it's false evidence appearing real. It's illusion and delusion. It's not true. But we need to learn to separate that from afraid, because afraid says you're hanging off a 20-foot cliff and you need to make a decision. And if we don't understand the difference between those two things, we can get ourselves into a lot of hot water. And the way to understand the difference is really processing your feelings, right? So if anybody's, we got a lot of people on here, but if you've got a way that your ego gets you, put it in the chat below. I would love to hear. You know, it has us compare ourselves to others, when that is so detrimental to our journey. You know, the only person I want to compare myself to is the person I was yesterday. And that's it, because I strive to shift and be better every day, right? So that's it. That's
And
it.
there's some easy cues that or signals, I should say, that the ego sends us that helps us to know whether it's on and it's working, right? So if you feel like you're somebody that gets sucked into drama when somebody, right, there's always drama, my life is always chaos, right? That might be one of the defenses of your ego. If you find yourself, for me, I was always in confusion. Every time my ego goes on, I'm confused. I don't know what to do, right? So now that I know when I'm confused, I got to step back because I know that ego is on. So there's different roadmaps and signs that help us to catch in that moment what is happening so that we can identify, you know, what's actually working and that we're disconnected from spirit in that moment.
So the one way, the tip I want to give you, everything with the ego, look, it starts with your awareness, honestly. It's very difficult to change what we're not aware of. It's the reason it's wreaked havoc in our lives for so many years, because we're not aware. So your your power really lies in your ability to make the unconscious conscious. And so get to know your player, know how it plays you. Marie just wrote, the ego tells me I'm not enough. Anna wrote, comparing and doubt are huge for me in the ego. Exactly, right? It makes us feel small, Allie wrote, out of fear and taking steps towards our dreams. We need to really know those things, because unless we're aware of where and how it's wreaking havoc, it becomes very difficult to stop it. So know your player. And what I will say to you is, every time you catch it and make a different decision. So every time your ego tells you you're not enough and you say, BS, I am enough. And here are the reasons why, baby, right? Like what happens is your ego loses in that moment, you win. When you listen to it and you go, yeah, no, I'm not enough and I'm never going to be able to do this, so I quit. I'm done. It wins. And it even wins in small ways when you don't quit and just half believe it and move forward anyway. It's won because it's taken you out of alignment. It's made you think something that's untrue. And the ego does this not to really hurt you, but it perceives as where you are right now as safe, sane, and secure. It's your inner child's protector. And so anything on its radar, because it's so used to like going out there, beep, 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 looking for danger in the field, right? That it just brings it all to you. And it is really important to kind of be able to separate the truth of that and say no. Because once you say no, it weakens. Once you catch it on certain things, it has a hard time repeating that again because you already know that game. Unfortunately, it does get more subtle and it finds different ways to roll some things out because creating new patterns in our life can be very uncomfortable for the inner child and the ego. So the ego resists it. But at least you're chipping away at its games and you get one step closer to making it work for you versus against you. Yeah. And so, yeah, feelings and emotions. We're going to move on to the next one. We've talked a little bit about that, so I'm grateful for that. But Linz, I hated my feelings. I just want to say that right now. Hi, my name is Tina Provenzano.
Yeah.
Resist my feelings like no one you ever knew in your whole entire life. And that is just the truth. Like, I hated feeling my feelings. I didn't realize what it was. And for a very long time. So, I think it's just, it's hard. It feels hard because we don't understand what it is.
And I think as humans, our go-to is to avoid pain at all costs. And so we do things to avoid those feelings, whether for some people it's overworking, for some people it's, you know, the glass of wine, some people it's more extreme with alcohol or recreational drugs, for some people it's food, and, you know, I mean, the list goes on and on of all the different ways that we numb out or distract ourselves, but we're doing it because we don't want to feel the emotion.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. I swear feelings in the self-care world are like the dentist in the medical world. Nobody wants to go to them. It's like, no, I don't want to go there. Right. So, you know, we talked about alignment and emotions, and feelings, I want to say, are in the body, right? Feelings are the tightness in your throat, it's the heavy heart, it's the spinning head, it's the ungroundedness, it's the solar plexus that's spinning, right? So when these feelings go into motion, right, the energy of them turns into motion, and it's energy in motion, emotion, and it comes out of us, right, as an emotion, right? And so these feelings that are in our body with these corresponding emotions have messages that come along with them that really require action on our part. And so when we, like Lindsay said, suppress them or deny them or minimize them or drink them away or whatever, right? We don't understand that anger is there to help us protect our boundaries, right? We don't understand that disappointment is there to help us detach from something in life, right? And honestly, even when we do know that that's what it's about, like, so disappointment's the energy that helps us detach. It says detach from the people, detach from the way you want things to be, detach from the circumstances in your life, detach from outcomes, detach from blah, 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 right? On and on and on, right? But we can really misread that if we're not aligned and if we haven't processed that emotion, right? So when we minimize, repress, deny, we lose the message, right? And what happens is we end up in the doom loop. You can rest assured that that message will be back again. That feeling will be back again. You will revisit it because you haven't done anything to get to that thing behind the thing behind the thing, right? That really says, oh, this is the action I need to take in order to, so that that doesn't happen to me again. And what else I want to say is really important with the feelings is when you don't feel your feelings and you make the wrong decisions around your boundaries and around feeling disappointed and around speaking your truth, right? What happens is you lose trust in yourself. And then you say, well, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust spirit. It's hard to trust me. It's hard to trust, right? But it's really just because we're making decisions in unaligned places where we have no clarity and no business making decisions, right? And then we use, the ego says, yeah, go ahead, make that decision, right? And then it says, go, make it. And then after you make it and it falls, it says, idiot, what'd you make that decision for? That was stupid, right? And all the while we haven't, but if we process our emotions, if we see it, if we help understand what the program is running, right? Get to that inner child. She is the keeper, or he is the keeper of all of our subconscious patterns. They can give them to you. They know why you feel the way you feel. They know the thing behind the thing behind the thing. And they can help you understand how to get to that, right? And then you go, oh, so, right, I need to have a discussion with this person because I said yes when I don't want to say no. A lot of times with boundaries, we'll say yes, we wanted to say no, right? And then we're pissed off at the other person because we said yes to something we didn't want to do, right? But if you just process that emotion for a moment, you know, it doesn't take that long. You'll understand, you know, what I really need to do is give myself permission to say no or whatever the outcome is. I'm just kind of spewing examples here, but it's important to have that trust in yourself, right? And so that's a really great way to build trust, is to understand how to process those emotions.
And to recognize the difference between thinking your feelings and actually processing them. And we want to be really clear about this, because I kept telling Tina for about 2.5 years that she should be so proud of me, because I was feeling my feelings and I was thinking my feelings for 2.5 years. And she had no idea, because
It wasn't that long.
it felt like forever.
It was a while, but it wasn't that long.
But the thing is because we think we're feeling our feelings when we say, oh, I feel sad because this happened and this happened. And you're thinking about your feelings. You are not feeling them. Feeling the feelings in the body is like Tina said, where in the physical body do you feel a sensation? It requires no thought from the mind.
I want to make sure you understand what it looks like to think your feelings. Okay. It's really important that you understand this, because this is what most of us do. So somebody pisses us off, somebody upsets us, somebody does something, whatever, right? And we get upset. So what we do is we step back and we think about all the reasons why we're upset. We think about all the things we should have said and didn't say. We think about all the reasons this person is a total jackass. We think about all the reasons why we can't seem to stand up for ourselves when it comes to this person. We think about why we're so hurt. We think about why we're so angry. We think about why we're so frustrated. And we think about it, and we think about it, and we think about it, and our body fills and fills and fills with more energy and more negative emotion, right? And then we go, we either explode, right, on someone else, or we implode on ourselves, or we do our own brand of F this. F this, I am so done with this situation. I am not doing this anymore. Forget it. I'm out. Boundary done. I'm good. Let's go. Forward we go. That is not, right? I promise you, you will end up in that place again. I promise you, because you didn't get to anything. You didn't change anything. You didn't understand what's wrong. You didn't process anything. All you did was make yourself so upset that you cried and you felt horrible for maybe hours, maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe months. Honestly, to be honest, maybe years about some things. And we're still walking around as if that's our reality, triggered by something that we thought we felt our feelings on long ago. So anytime you're saying to yourself, I don't know why this won't go away. I don't know why I can't seem to get rid of this. I don't know why. This must be me, because I keep running into this again and again, but I can't figure out why. It's because you've been conditioned to think your feelings instead of processing them, to actually get to a place of understanding how to get to the information that you need to make a different decision, and to heal that inner child's wound and make her feel better or him feel better about themselves, so that you can take different steps going forward and change the course of your reality. So, when we think our feelings and don't feel them, we become very reactionary to life. I know that if I'm not at one of my first indicators that I've got a feeling that needs to be felt is I become short on patience. That's my first indicator. Like, I go back to the eye roll again, right? That's my first, like, that's it. I'm like, okay, I have something going on here that I'm not looking at, I'm not addressing, I'm not putting me first. So Lindsay, anything else on this?
Do you want to take them through a body scan or time?
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, just to give you a sense of this feeling your feelings, we'll just really quickly give you one strategy that you can use to really connect with how to process an emotion, not think it. So just close your eyes, and a great way to really center again would be to use that 4x4 breath, to just take some deep you know, breaths in really start to quiet that mind. So for now, just, you know, inhale through the nose for 4, exhale through the mouth. Just take 3 additional breaths at your own pace. And I want you to just tune into your body. I don't want you to think about it, but I just want you to notice, you know, start at your head and work your way down to your neck, and then your chest, your stomach, kind of solar plexus region, right below the belly button, that area, your legs. Just notice, scan your body with your mind, and just notice if anything anywhere in your body feels stuck, if there's discomfort, dis-ease. Maybe you see a color. Maybe you, you know, feel a heaviness. Maybe you feel like your stomach is spinning. Maybe there's some sort of tightness or tension somewhere. So just see what you notice in your body. And I'm going to have you focus on, just pick one place. It's not uncommon to have multiple places in the body, but for the sake of this activity, just pick one place of discomfort or unease or tension or heaviness. And as you focus on that place in your body, I want you to picture that diamondy bright white light that shines on a lake, as if the sun is shining on a lake or an ocean. Just picture that diamondy bright white light. And I want you to picture on every inhale that you're bringing in that diamond white light through the top of your head and pulling it down through your body and sending it to the place of discomfort or tension or unease. So with every inhale you take, bring in more of that bright white diamondy light and send it to the place in your body. And as you exhale, almost blow out the smoke, the residuals, blow out the tension, blow out any discomfort that you might be feeling. And keep breathing and pulling in this light and exhaling the smoke or the tension or whatever you're feeling until you feel a release. And you might notice that you sigh. That might be the release. It might be a deep breath that you notice. It might just feel like the discomfort dissipates or the tension eases. So just keep breathing into that place. And when you can recognize that release, you can bring your attention and awareness back to the call.
And I always love that feeling. That is a first step. And I want to also say that it is really important in this process of feeling the emotion. And so that is feeling the feeling in your body, right? That's what you're doing. The feeling is in your body. You're bringing awareness to the feeling and you're bringing light into it. You're breathing out the negative energy, right? And there's so much more to this process, but what I just want to give you a couple of steps so you kind of understand. Validation is so important. Validation of how you feel is the remedy for your ego's resistance, right? So when you validate how you feel, being your own best friend, anyone would feel the way you feel, right? And so I validate that for the inner child. Anyone would feel that way. If this had happened to them, they'd feel exactly the same way, right? It makes perfect sense that you'd feel this way. Anyone would feel sad, frustrated, disappointed, angry, whatever that is, right? And you want to soothe them. You want to tell them that it's okay, that you've got their back, that we're going to get to the bottom of this, that we're going to help them come to understand, right, why they feel the way they do. And they're going to help us understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling, right? And so you want to get it to a place where you don't feel all of that tension in your body anymore. And so what I want, one of the caveats to this is if you came into this at a 10, like if you were like in a high level, like I am like, angry, right? You're going to need that breath to match in intensity, right? So the 4x4 might not work. You might want to do like a more kind of labored breathing. Or you might want to go into a room, shut the door, and I love a pool noodle, a good half pool noodle, cut in half, and just bam, bam, bam on the bed. Anything to break loose that energy, right? To get me back to a place where then that 4x4 breath would bring me back into my body and really in a place of being able to connect with my inner child, so that I know that I'm able to get the inner child, the information from her that I really need, so that I can further soothe, reparent, make different decisions, whatever needs to happen. Right? So, okay. I would love to say we have a few minutes for questions. We don't, but we're going to take them anyway. I mean, at this point, if anyone's got any big questions on that, like anything huge, I know we've got some on the chat. I love that Melissa said, I started playing the game of I don't know. Love it. Yeah. Yeah. Ego also has my mother's voice. Yeah. Feelings are important. They're an important component. So I would definitely encourage you to really move into them in a big way, for sure. Lindsay, anything else on that?
No.
Okay. So I want to just talk a little bit about why the divine family process works so well. So a couple of years ago, a few years ago, it was actually even longer than that probably now, was my how time flies. Yeah, I had a huge blowout with my sister on the front lawn, on her front lawn, right on this big, nice, wonderful piece of property we have here. And my anger was so over the top and so explosive that it scared me. And I have learned that hers was as well. And we both had reason to believe that we should probably part ways before we started like just losing our minds and throwing fists, seriously. But anyway, it startled me so much that it really riled my butt into a different space. I felt like I knew I needed to find a process that not just helped me manage my emotions anymore, because that was really great when you weren't triggered by a really deep sister wound, but but it was in a way of being able to heal those wounds, that stopped the triggers. That's what I felt like I needed versus processes that took me through, right, the emotions and feelings. And as soon as that happened, I have an amazing, talented friend and colleague, Rick, who said to me, hey, have you ever heard of Joe Dispenza? And do you want to go with me to his retreat? And I was like, I looked up his work and I'm like, yes, I do. Because I knew that this was the beginning of kind of an answered prayer for me. And we went through the beginner's process or whatever he calls that online. And then we went to the progressive workshop, which was down in Phoenix live for a few days. And it was life-changing to me. And I will say that this process worked for me in an amazing way. It really helped me learn how to meditate in a way I wasn't able to get to before. It helped me that way. And it also helped me heal those triggers, those wounds, not just the trigger itself and not being able to manage them, but the actual wounds. And I will say that, unfortunately, I just have to, I couldn't keep it up. I never made it to the advanced workshop. Although a couple of my friends from a group I was in went and they said it was just totally the bomb. And I believe them because he is. And I still do his meditations. But I am a good student. And when I was doing that work, I woke up at 4 a.m. every morning and did an hour and a half worth of his meditations. And there was a lot of other work to boot. And I just, as much as I felt like it took me and helped me heal, and his work, if anybody has body issues, like it is like the best for body issues. It's amazing. He has brain scans to prove his work. He's just tremendous if you haven't heard of him. And I swear that this isn't a commercial for Judge Spencer, but I really do love him and I admire him greatly and his work. But, and it really works. But the thing is that I knew in that moment I needed to find something else that felt easier to me. And the truth is I really judged myself for that because I thought, who am I to want something easier, like everybody else is working their butt off for this? Why? But I did. I felt like I felt like it was too much of like an effort, I guess. And I was at the time being told not to effort so much. So it was like this catch-22. And so it's really interesting because it can be very empowering and very disturbing to know that our triggers and our healing and all of that, right, is all based on our childhood program and these subconscious thoughts and our mind's interruption and us not feeling our feelings. Like, it's very empowering because that's all the part that we have control over, right? And yet Joe Dispenza will tell you every step of the way it's work. It takes work. He tells you that flat out in his program. It's work. It's work, it's work, it's work. And so I'm grateful because he helped me deepen what I had learned in life coaching school, which was a tremendous foundation for me. But then in May 2018, as I was still searching for a better way, Oliver came into my life. And he basically, you know, his name brought with him a sense of peace for me and a promise of peace. And he keeps bringing me back to that sense of peace over and over. And the truth is what he said to me is, look, it's going to take work on your part. And he said, it's not going to happen by itself. But you are right. It doesn't have to be so hard. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. But then as Oliver never tells me what he's doing or what we're doing. He just does it and then tells me in hindsight. And so he brought me back to my inner child work, and he brought me back to understanding how to parent or reparent my inner children. I have two, like a typical Gemini. And so how they each needed to be reparented in different ways. And he brought me to learning more about my masculine energy and what that looks like when it's at a low vibe, and my feminine energy and what that looks like, and what happens as they interact together, and how unless they are in a better place, my parenting becomes a struggle. I don't even know how to parent. So we upped the level of that. And one day he said to me, hey, so when was the last time you were triggered? That's what he said. And I was like, God, that's been a while. And he said, exactly. I've been bringing you through a process that I'm going to want you to teach others. And it's called the Divine Family. And we're starting with Lindsay. So give her a call and tell her she's going to be the first one going through it. And I did. And Lindsay had amazing results. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk?
I was going to say, do you want me to share any of them?
Sure.
Yeah. So in my mind, it's like the pre-process and the post-process. And before the Divine Family process, I had no emotional regulation skills. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm empathic, right? And I didn't even know it. I didn't even know I was that sensitive. And so for years and years and years, since I was 13, I had struggled with compulsive overeating, binge eating disorder, and that's how I was getting through life. Every time I was feeling something, I just went for food. That was my drug of choice. And I was living in this mode of just blame, shame, the victim game constantly. And so even though nobody on the outside knew I was going through anything because I hid all of it from everybody, I was incredibly low self-esteem. I was really depressed. I was anxious all the time, and yet fully functional. So nobody ever really knew what was going on. I remember this one place I worked, they gave me a nickname. They used to call me Doom and Gloom. I was like, people, I am a realist. I am not a pessimist. And they were like, no, she's doom and gloom, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you that. Yeah. So, and as a result of all of that, I had a lot of physical, my body feels and manifests everything physically. So I had a ton of food sensitivities. I ended up deciding to go on medicine for anxiety, for depression. I had significant weight issues, back issues, neck issues, the list goes on and on and on. And so my body was so out of balance from quite literally 35 years of not feeling or processing emotion. And so, I mean, within what, Tina, 3 months? I mean, it
Quick,
works
yeah, it's about what it
so
was.
fast.
It's true.
Within 3 months, it was unbelievable. Like I realized it was far more painful to resist all the feelings I was feeling than it was to just feel them, process, and be done with it. And that was a huge revelation. You know, I had a lot of codependency issues with different people in my life that I have been able to heal by helping to heal my inner child. So my boundaries are better. I have more self-love. I have more trust in myself. I have more self-confidence, more self-esteem. I am off all depression and anxiety medication. And and I've been off for months, and my doctor's like, oh, well, what are you doing differently? It's like, I didn't need any of it really. I just needed to be able to feel and release the feelings because they were accumulating in the body. And so,
It's true.
and I think one of the biggest differences is I'm in a point in my life where I am facing or about to face some really, really significant changes. And I know without a shred of doubt that there is no way that I would have the courage or the trust in myself to be able to make these changes if I didn't have this process. Because what was happening in my life is I was suffering constantly, and it was self-inflicted. You know, Tina always says growth is mandatory, but suffering is optional. And when you're in the midst of suffering, you don't really understand, it doesn't feel optional, right? But it's because we don't have a tool to understand how to not suffer, because we don't grow up with these coping mechanisms. And for me, you know, I always had some short-term successes with, you know, a meditation practice here or this modality there. I was in talk therapy, I think, for 5.5 years, and there were some benefits to that, but I always left there more in my head about my feelings, not actually processing them in my body. And so with that in mind, this process has just, it's changed my whole life, but it's also when I started feeling my feelings is when all of my intuitive gifts started opening, which is now, you know, how I make some of a living, to truthfully, right? And you heard in the beginning of the call, I didn't even know I could do any of that, right? It's an ability, it can be developed, but I wouldn't have been able to develop it clogged with all of those years and years and years of emotions just sitting in my body. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that feeling, the feelings is a very important component to it, because, you know, we can't move clearly through life clogged with feelings, right? What I think I've even seen more in you, if you don't mind me saying, is you don't go down anymore. And that is not from feeling your feelings. Although that's how you manage them, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, I remember Makwa used to say to you, like, he was never worried about you coming back up. He knew you eventually would, but he would worry about how long you stayed down.
Yeah.
And that is the sign that, like, something inside needs to be healed, right? And so that's the piece that I see, and that is such a big shift in you as well. And this is because with the inner child work to it, you don't have you're not triggered the same way you used to be. You don't go down anymore. You don't stay down there anymore. And so your healing is also, from what I can see, gone from being able to manage your feelings to being able to actually heal the cause of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this work is so masterful at doing. We did 2 retreats last year, we had great results there as well. And then enter COVID, right? What happened was, just like everyone else, I was asked to go deeper, do things differently. We've got to, change direction here. And I was very excited and I was very nervous. And then I had this small discussion with Lindsay, and it blew up into this whole big thing. And I ended up expanding the inner child archetype models. We brought in archetype models from Carl Jung and Caroline Meese. And although our inner children are different and require very individualized kind of parenting, there are these overlaps. And these archetypes have added incredible depth to the parenting part of the program. And we've also kind of created a fun way to help you understand what your archetype is. And we've expanded the open to your intuitive gifts piece, because it is so foundational in the process. There's my Divine Family logo. It looks pretty, Linz. Thanks. Yeah, and so it's foundational, and it's such an integral part of the work, and all of our work. And again, you're all divine by design, and connected to a source that is greater than you can ever imagine. And it's your responsibility to really build that relationship. And we go into great detail on teaching you how to do that. And another part I think I mentioned before that was really integral for me was understanding how to really live in harmony with, like, my divine feminine and my divine masculine, to operate at a higher level and also live in harmony with each other, because they were very imbalanced with each other before this work. And so we have expanded the program to actually incorporate purpose, your divine purpose, into this masculine piece. Because the truth is when you go deep, when you head down the spiritual support team track, the truth is you're going to be put, or purpose, I should say, is going to be put squarely on your path pretty rapidly. So we added that piece as well. And one of the most, influential pieces that I have learned lately is Lindsay's breathwork. And we have also found a way to incorporate that into the program. She is a master. And I am so, 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 so happy, because I know that I attract people just like me, and people with tough minds need a little more of help in the meditation field. And I feel like that this breath work really helps you achieve meditation on all levels better. Like it opens something to it. And so what I really want to say to you is this program works. I've been coaching people for 14 years. And in all the years that I have been practicing in Sedona even, I haven't seen anything as effective as this program. And I've continued to do inner child work with people who I have one person who is really looking to get more involved in learning it because she is a social worker. She's going for a doctorate in social work, and she feels like it's a piece that is not addressed in that area. I've heard so many people just tell me different stories about how great it's working for them, and that is really inspiring to me, and I love hearing that. And I also want to say to you, not every program works for everybody, which is why I told you the Joe Dispenza story. And the truth is that that was a tough one for me. And this one was really, really easy for me. And I would encourage you to really give it a try, because if it's easy for you and this loving and compassionate and teaches you this way of loving yourself, that is just so beautiful and so gifting, self-gifting to you, I would say I would do anything to really grasp at that. And I would also say to you that if you found it didn't work, or you found any other processes that didn't work, I would say keep looking, because there isn't one practice that works for everyone. And honestly, there was a part of me that felt like a failure when I quit Joe Dispenza's work, and that wasn't true. It wasn't true at all. It wasn't the case. It's just that there isn't one practice that works across the board for everyone, this one included. But what is most important is that you find something that you love enough, one that you can keep doing every day, right? That makes you feel good, that feels easy, that is loving and compassionate to yourself, that teaches you to go deeper into the core of who you are and connect to that part of you that so desperately wants to guide you. And until this process, I had a core wound that I thought would always cause a lot of great upset in my life. And that core wound is that I don't matter. And when I proved to my inner child that she really mattered, that they really mattered, it changed everything. It didn't matter who it was, whether it was somebody else showing me that mirror, or whether it was me making decision after decision that proved to myself that I didn't matter by putting myself last on the list, by not putting myself in the equation of things, by not speaking up. There are lots of reasons how, or I should say lots of ways that I enforce that negative belief. But there has nothing been more freeing than understanding that that story is nothing more than a bunch of BS. And I don't have to live that way anymore. And I'm very grateful that I no longer have to create that reality, you know, of that core wound. Yeah. And so we have an amazing offer for you. Because Oliver, he really wants, can you bring up that slide then? And so I want to go over the program overview with you because it's extensive and it's not something that should be taken lightly, really. We really do, we want to bring you deep into the process. I want to give it all to you here, to be honest. And so the class format is on an online format. It's called Zenler, and everybody will be able to get, it's like a one-stop shop place. And before the actual discussion, there's a prepare for success. So you'll have a video from me on a topic, and there'll be something, an exercise for you or something for you to think about. And then once a week for 10 weeks from October 14th to December 16th on Wednesdays, we're going to have divine discussions. It's a 2-hour Zoom call where we're going to take you through the bulk of the material. And then every week there'll be practice and there'll be homework, because this is a process that we want to be life-changing for you. And that's where the rubber meets the road. It's what you do with it. And so we are keeping the class size to 21 students because I want to be able to see everybody's face on that Zoom call. So it's important for you to kind of commit to that. Now, if you miss a week, it's no problem. Like we'll have the recording up for you so you could go back and see what you missed. But I really want to have more one-on-one interaction with you, and I want to be able to see you. We already have 6 seats filled, so there's 15 that are remaining. And if you can go to the next slide, Lynn, thanks. We have a way of taking you deeper into the work. And we call these divine accompaniments. And Lindsay and I are both going to be doing one-on-one sessions that we will offer during the program, and they expire February 1st. On taking, if you feel the need, these are not mandatory. These are only if you feel the need. So if you feel the need to go deeper into your inner child and get deeper into that work, I can take you there. If you need to go deeper into opening to your gifts, I can take you there. If boundaries are an issue, I can take you there. So these are like a la carte items, basically. And Lindsay can do deeper breath work with you if you're having trouble getting to where you need to go. She can also do sessions that the hands show your blocks to purpose and what you may need to look at in order to move through to get to your purpose. And since we're going to be talking about that, we want to be able to make sure that you have information to move you through that if needed. Okay. And so all of this for the 10 sessions and is being offered for $333 for the entire program without the individual coaching. And it costs $333 if you pay via Venmo or PayPal, friends and family, or if you want to pay with a credit card. Or do non-friends and family, it's $350, just not to incur that fee. Yeah, it is, it feels really important for Oliver to, like, he really wants this to get out there. And although I know that the price of this, I can just tell by discussions with him that it'll never skyrocket and be out of reach for masses. This is an introductory price, as you can imagine. There's 10 weeks worth of work, and it's literally you're going to be getting over 20 hours of content. It's like 25 hours of content. And so I would say grab it while grabbing's good. Hey, tell them how to register.
Yeah, so if you're interested in signing up for the program, we are going to do this on a first come, first serve basis. So if you are certain that you want to join us, you can either Venmo or PayPal Tina directly, the $333. These are just capture, if you can, her screen names. We can also send them out to you to make it easy in a follow-up email, but just make sure with PayPal especially, you check off that friends and family option if you want the $333 price. If you're not using the friends and family option, then it is $350. And certainly if you still have questions about whether or not this is the right program for you and you want to continue to discuss it, I'm happy to talk to you, but certainly email all your questions directly to Tina, and she will be happy to schedule time with you one-on-one to make sure that it's a good fit. And And so to register, you'll just send the money, but also just send us your preferred email in the message
Yes,
so that
please.
we know how to get in touch with you with all the follow-up materials.
Yeah, I will, once, if you put your email address in the payment, I will absolutely send you confirmation and begin to reach out to you so that you have all the information you need. I know we went over, I so appreciate everybody's patience, but I am so willing to like stay on and answer any questions that anyone may have. So what do they do? Just raise their hand? Is that...
They can unmute themselves. Yeah, they unmute.
themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And just jump in.
Anyone?
Hi, Tina. I have a question.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I would love to do the class, but I always have my kids on Wednesday nights. So attending live is really not to anyone's benefit.
It's tough, yeah. Yeah. You can absolutely do it through the, just watch the Zoom calls after. It would just limit your ability to ask live questions, but you always know that you can reach out and get those questions answered.
Okay.
It's also, honestly, there are some areas where it might inhibit. We can talk about that. Let's take that offline. I'm going to be honest. Missing every week would probably cause some issue. Yeah.
So maybe we could chat about if there were ones that it was like, get a sitter for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Tina, it's Dawn.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you? My
Good.
question is, because I don't use Venmo and PayPal, what do I do like with the credit card? Do I just send it to you? Do I call you?
Yeah, we'll do it over. I'll take it from you over the phone. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just hook up.
All right. I'll send you a text.
Cool. Very good.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed this. And Lindsay, we're going to have to do more than this. We'll have to figure a way to streamline it a little better. Way over. But that's okay. It was really fun connecting with each of you. And I'm so grateful that so many of you called in and that so many of you stayed on till the very end. Sending you all love. And if you have any questions, just reach out. You know how to get me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.